this isn't a Minecraft channel. That being said, every video I've made so far, including this one, have been about Minecraft. But it's for like two good reasons. One, it's just a good game. And two, a very deeply concerning portion of my brain is taken up by information about the game. Now, those other videos are admittedly pretty stylistically different from this one, but they're worthwhile watches, especially if you're interested in old Minecraft, which is a topic that, for some reason, I can't stop thinking about, and I'm going to try and articulate why. Minecraft Alpha and Beta served as simple survival sandbox games with no end goal in sight. Just build whatever you want forever, with the only things really getting in your way being a couple of enemies and a very limited block palette. There's been over a decade's worth of updates, and a lot of people don't like where the game is now compared to then. So much so that some parts of the community have deemed a certain period in Minecraft's history as its golden age. When I first heard that term, I just immediately accepted it into my brain and acknowledged that it made sense. But then I started thinking about it, and I realized that maybe it wasn't as clear-cut as I initially thought it out to be. So I gotta make a video this long to try to figure that out. So what is a golden age? Wikipedia defines a golden age as a period considered the peak in the history of a country or people, a time period when the greatest achievements were made. The term originated from early Greek and Roman poets, who used it to refer to a time when mankind lived in a better time and was pure. Great achievements stands out to me here. And I know it technically says that mankind was pure, but I think the overall concept of purity is a little integral to describing this age. So, great achievements and purity. At an objective level, the early foundational features of a game are always going to be their great achievements. Without them, there'd be no game. Without infinite worlds or mobs, or even just the concept of voxel-based construction, there'd be nothing for later features to add on to. Of course these achievements are great. They're the building blocks. But the other part of this description can really be influenced by opinion. Was Minecraft before release a better time? Was it more pure? No one can speak as to whether or not the game was factually better at that time. It's not a quantifiable property. However, I can see why many would think that beta Minecraft, which was much more limited and low-key, would be more in line of the description of purity or simplicity, especially when compared to new Minecraft. It goes without saying that over 10 years of constant feature development would result in a game that has a lot more complexity than it used to, and to a lot of the player base, that's not a problem. But some got accustomed to a very straightforward game, one that offers the same approach to survival every time. But as time goes on, that simple gameplay loop becomes cluttered with other new features. And let me just reiterate, from in-dev to beta, Minecraft used to be incredibly simple. Take the block selection, for example. Do you know how sizable the building palette was by beta 1.7.3? The image that contained the textures for every block in the game was 256 pixels wide and 256 pixels tall. Now, knowing that Minecraft uses 16 by 16 textures, that means that there were only 256 slots for textures for blocks in the game. And there's so many that went unused that only 172 of those slots are actually put to use. And from that point, only 58 of those slots actually are full block textures. And most of the time back then, the only blocks that people would actually use was logs and wooden planks and stone and cobble and sometimes bricks. There really wasn't a lot of variety here. And the way you went about getting those building materials was streamlined. Typically, every resource had just one way to get it. If you need wood, chop down a tree. It doesn't even matter what kind, because at this point they all still make the same planks. If you need stone, just mine it. And if you need a smoother texture, just smelt it. And bricks kind of became a commodity, because clay did not generate much in these old versions of the game. So if you had it, it was like a display of wealth, but it was also a display of hard work. It's not very robust, but it was undoubtedly pleasantly simple. So again, if we do equate simplicity and purity, in this context, it does fill that quota. And that's really all there was to these versions of the game. Resource collecting, surviving, and building. But those simple concepts begged players to push the limitations imposed by them. You begin seeing really interesting uses of specific blocks. You can make a chair out of stairs, or a table out of a pressure plate and a fence, or even a TV out of just a painting. And not to mention, there weren't even upside down slabs or stairs. Most block sets didn't even consistently have slabs and stairs. If you built a roof out of brick and you needed to like make it smoother, sorry buddy, you gotta wait until beta 1.8. Sandstone stairs weren't even added until release version 1.3.1, but sandstone slabs have been there since beta 1.3. Whereas builders now are spoiled for choice, builders then were starving for it. You know how people will make jokes about introducing a Victorian child to sour candy? I think the same result would happen if you showed a beta Minecraft player the wiki page for copper. As odd and small as the building palette was, there was definitely comfort in that simplicity. There was a more direct relationship between blocks and players. You couldn't trade with villagers to get terracotta, or get an efficiency 5 pick and a haste 2 beacon and just go to town on some stone. No, there were no shortcuts. And there was something special about that. Of course, from the builder's perspective, one that I've been in, it's a lot easier to build now than it was then. But suddenly that cobblestone castle you spent all that time building in beta just kind of feels inadequate compared to things today. So yeah, there was not a lot on offer. There wasn't much variety in playstyles, and really most problems only had one solution. But that's okay. Some people prefer that to the experience you're getting with the modern game. Going back, there's no phantoms, there's no pillager raids, there's no villager trading or elytra, or even boss battles. It was just simple fun and creativity. So we've gone over what could constitute a period of time being Minecraft's golden age. But who actually coined that term? Well, the community. I wouldn't be making this video if it weren't for the communities that have popped up around these versions of the game. Not only would there not be much to talk about, but I sincerely wouldn't know what to call it. In regards to Minecraft, the term Golden Age didn't start getting used until 2017. The first example I could find of its usage was a Quora article from February of that year. And then there's a website denoting itself as the home for all things Golden Age Minecraft that appeared later that year. Now, where I heard about it, the subreddit r/Golden Age Minecraft says it was created in 2016, but I don't necessarily believe that. Well, I'm sure it was created then, but I think it served a different purpose back then. You can't sort by old posts on Reddit. I can't go to a subreddit and look at its first post. That's just how Reddit is. So I looked at the moderators for the subreddit and saw that they had all only been there for 2 years. So the conclusion that I came to was that someone made this subreddit in 2016, but it didn't actually start being used for its current purpose until like 2020 or 2021. Anyway, this is a relatively new term that has been coined, but the community is already quite sizable. In the subreddit alone, there's over 30,000 members. The posts here fascinate me so much. Screenshots from old versions of Minecraft register as works of art in my brain, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the block palette, the lighting, or the textures, but something about it is just so endearing, and I cannot get enough of it. It's also very interesting that here you have a lot of people debating where the cutoff for Golden Age Minecraft is. For me, for some reason, it is just ingrained in my mind that Golden Age Minecraft ended with beta 1.7.3. I cannot explain why I really feel that way, but I chalk it up to the game being taken in a new direction. But if you look at the subreddit description, their official cutoff is release version 1.2.5, which personally, I don't agree with, but I can see why some people would feel that way. Release version 1.2.5 is a lot more like beta Minecraft than it is like modern Minecraft. And some people say that the cutoff for the Golden Age is wherever you started playing the game, which I can understand, but at the same time, I started playing Minecraft like as soon as beta 1.8 came out, which was followed by the official release. I mean, I even have videos of me reviewing snapshots after the release of the game.
Hello YouTube, this is the 12W22A snapshot. Hello YouTube, this is the 12W21A snapshot. Hello YouTube, this is the 12W23B snapshot. I'm not doing the 12W23A snapshot because there was a bug that caused the Minecraft to crash whenever you instantly broke blocks in survival. So I'm gonna do this.
But I still don't associate those versions with my Golden Age. And the only thing I can really attribute that to is watching people play the game in beta 1.7.3. Because when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Minecraft YouTube. Anyway, there's a Discord for this subreddit, and several other Discord servers also aligned with retro Minecraft. I've actually been part of one for a little while, the Modification Station, which is a Discord server specifically about modding old versions of the game, which is a topic that can be very difficult to find information on elsewhere. And that's just the most prominent and public communities. There are tons of smaller and lesser known groups that talk about old versions of the game, like Neo Alpha. It's based off of Alpha 1.2.5 and it's like a whole server experience. Or there's Retro MC and Beta Lands, which are both servers hosted on Beta 1.7.3. And there's several more that I found. But the point is that there are so many of these communities, large and small, completely devoted to past versions of the game. Some might say they're stuck in time and wonder why you would do that, but I think it's just fascinating. These are experiences that you won't get anywhere else now. I mean, I have a memory of me playing on a server, which I think was running beta 1.8 at the time. There were a ton of builds, but I can't remember one of them specifically. What I can remember was the giant minecart track that went all around the map. It went up against the mountain and just kind of enclosed all this land that people were building on. It was awesome. No one builds minecart tracks anymore, which sucks. Do you know how cool it is to just gaze out into a sea of buildings and just take that all in? It is such a specific experience that modern servers will never be able to imitate. Suffice to say, these servers are really something special. You really just don't see this kind of thing anymore. And it's crazy and heartwarming to see such a dramatic return to form. There's so many groups and tools and launchers to help people play old versions of the game, and it's just so cool to see. I can only hope that these communities keep growing and making more cool stuff. Speaking of things that are really, really cool, there is something so very cool happening around retro Minecraft right now. But to properly understand it, we're gonna have to go a bit back in time. April 10th, 2011. A user on the Minecraft forums named Flowerchild posts their mod, Better Than Wolves. The name speaks their intentions, to make an update in the form of a mod that adds additions that are more worthwhile than wolves. And this was a really big deal. There are 1,630 pages of replies on this one forum post. Not to mention the mod has its own separate blog with its own forum as well. I wish that I could give more specific praises on this project, but there is just so much going on in it that I don't think I could get into it unless I was going to put a lot of time into it, which one day I would love to, and I highly recommend that anyone who watches this video does too. At the very least, just watch a playthrough of it. The scope of this thing is nothing short of crazy, especially considering how early into Minecraft's life it started. Its last update was at the end of 2020. Nearly a decade of development on a mod that aims to totally revamp the game. This inspired a more recent total conversion mod, Better Than Adventure. Now, whereas the previous mod was just redoing the Wolves update, this is aiming to completely neglect the Adventure update, which I think is like the biggest update in the history of the game. I mean, every modern, magical element of Minecraft is rooted in the Adventure update. Also, most of the generated structures started here, but it's also adding in essential features that would get added in later to a beta version, like creative mode and a recipe book, and also a ton of bug fixes. It also introduces new biomes, new generation, and the whole concept of seasons. Stuff that might have been added into Minecraft if the root of the Adventure update had not been taken. Sort of a prolonged beta state. There's also re-indev, a version of the game that takes beta 1.7.3 but thrusts it back to the indev days. And by doing this, it's rethinking a lot of the core concepts of the game. But there's another way that people have used these hypothetical alternate versions of the game. You may have seen this video by Retro Gaming Now, which goes over videos by a YouTube channel called Minecraft Alpha 1.0.16 versions, which takes generally the same concept as something like Better Than Wolves, but applies it to Alpha Minecraft, and then also turns it into an ARG, an alternate reality game. It's a spooky story that harkens back to some of the common fears people had with old, foggy Minecraft. But it goes so much farther with that concept and ends up telling a full story through not only videos of the game, but an actual playable version of the game, which I've tried playing, and I mean, I'm awful at it, but the sheer amount of modifications and additions is astounding. Oh, also, there's 2 full soundtracks for this project. To use this concept as a medium for storytelling is just so creative and a monumental achievement for everyone involved. Those are just a few examples, but there are so many of these being developed and evolving right now. The aforementioned Modification Station Discord actually has multiple channels dedicated to this type of project. These retro mods that aim to totally convert the game. I'm not really going to showcase any of them here. They're all still really early in development, and I don't want to misportray any parts of them. But if you want to check them out, join the server. There's a ton of really cool projects and a lot of helpful guides and just helpful people that'll help you navigate this modding scene. But as accessible as they have made it to develop mods for older versions of the game, whenever I try to code, there's just a struggle for a few hours, followed by a lot of silent weeping. But you know what? I have ideas. They may not be great, but I have them. So I worked the other way around. I made a mod pack on CurseForge for Minecraft 1.19.3 that aims to bring back a lot of the beta features, while keeping some of the release features that I like. Then I went and made my own resource packs and data packs that tweak the game to the point between beta and release that I personally think is best. I'm really proud of it, so I am going to talk about it a lot, but very quickly. Okay, I made it so that all the wood types turn into oak wood planks, but the ones in the nether still turn into a different type, but they both turn into the same type, and I just call them netherwood. Andesite and the two other little rascals now drop cobblestone unless you use silk touch, which, speaking of, there's no enchantments, but if you make a gold pickaxe, it automatically gets enchanted with silk touch, because I wanted them to have a use. And iron ore and gold ore drop the ore blocks instead of the chunks, but copper still drops the chunks because I couldn't really find a way to balance that, so I thought about it for a really long time and just got kind of sad and gave up. And since so much of the game is restricted by the beta aspect, I threw in a bunch of crafting recipes so that you can still beat the game. I also replaced the no good, very bad wither painting with another painting by the guy who made all the other paintings in the game, so that it actually fits with not only the beta art style, but kind of the modern one as well. And there's more, and I'm always working on it, and it makes me so happy. And you know what? I'm proud of it. And since it's a new version of the game, I don't have to learn how to code like anything. I can just open up mCreator, and all I have to do to exact my will is press a few little icons and like draw a funny picture every now and then. You might ask though, do all this? Why not just play a beta version of the game? Why spend hours of your day making the modern game feel older? Honestly, I don't know. I can give you the answer of sprinting, but I think we both know that is not nearly enough justification. I just think it's so cool that so many people have come together to prolong a self-defined golden age of a game. And simply because they enjoy it and they want to. Admittedly, I'm a lurker in all of this. I'm not the kind of person to comment on any post I see on Reddit or even talk in the Discord channels. But I check both the subreddit and several Discords every day. I'm just so intrigued by all these creative projects, all these worlds people spend hours and hours and hours on. I mean, most of these projects are being done in a game from 2012. A game that, if you think about it, hasn't been updated in 10 years. And I think that's really inspiring. And as a Team Fortress 2 fan, I think it's very inspiring. And you know what? That's kind of where the video just ended for a while. I was wondering what the main point of all this was, and I just couldn't quite put it into words. But at the time of writing this, a new snapshot came out. One that allowed signs to have writing on both of their sides and also be edited after they're placed in the world. And this is the same major update that's adding armor trims and archaeology, which are features that are admittedly really cool. And I want to be really happy about them because a lot of people are really happy about them. And like, I should like these features, but I just don't, and I don't know why. I cannot see myself playing the game and using these or really even liking their inclusion. I wrote an entire video criticizing people who said Minecraft doesn't feel vanilla anymore. Yet here I am, like maybe considering that. And I still stand by everything I said in that video, but I think I've just gained new perspective. This will be the third video in a row that I've made about old Minecraft, and I think that it's all been leading to this point. Minecraft is an incredibly personal game. Not only is it a sandbox, but it's one where you're micromanaging every meter of the landscape you're given. And after a while of playing it, It's a product of your will. Sure, the generators in the game's code made the world initially, but you're the lens that it all has to pass through. From that, every pixel of the world is baked in a certain importance that only you can fathom. You know what every block means to you and to the world as a whole. Every world file on your computer or console or phone is a time capsule, with every block chronicling an action you took at that time, whether you placed the block or broke it. We repeat this incredibly intimate routine with every world we make, developing this intense familiarity with images on a screen. And I think what's happened is that this kind of comfort has left the confines of the Minecraft world and extended to the game as a whole. When you look at r/Golden Age Minecraft, not everyone is playing one version. Some people are playing Alpha 1.2.5, and some people are playing Release 1.2.5. Some are playing Beta, and some are still in InDev. But even though all these versions are considered the game's golden age, people still choose one to play. People have developed connections to these versions of the games that they've spent so much time with, whether they played it themselves or watched someone play it on YouTube, because throughout all that time, that version number is sitting up there in the corner, never leaving. It's a feature that a lot of people go blind to after a while, but it's been there almost since the golden age started to almost when it ended. Look at someone's screenshots of their personal golden age experience. That version number is always there in the corner. Maybe those numbers are subliminally burned into our heads, alongside the ideas of nostalgia and simple positivity. For the people with attachments to early versions of the game, I'm sure an effort was made. Maybe you played Minecraft until release 1.6, when they added horses. Maybe you made it a bit farther. Or maybe the inundation of new features bogged you down earlier. I think a lot of people burnt themselves out on the game, trying to cling to nostalgia, while in reality, every update made the game feel less and less familiar. For that group of people, I think most of them left the game eventually. Whether or not they came back depends on the individual. And there's always opportunities to make new memories with newer versions of the game. But if that's not what you grew accustomed to, it can feel overcomplicated and odd. At the end of the day, you could always create a new world and play it the same way now as you would then. But there's just so much more added in and around that original playstyle that could get in your way. People could always go to the Java launcher and select an old version of the game. And a lot of people do that. But I think for some of the more casual fans who played during beta, they don't know that's an option. And if your personal golden age was something like Legacy Console Editions, as far as I'm aware, you can't really access those old versions. But within that portion of the fans that do try and get back that nostalgia, there's an even smaller group, a collection of people with really big dreams. Not only do they want to take back the game as they remember it, they want to make it their own and develop it as they see fit. After all, why wouldn't the ultimate sandbox game permit creativity beyond its save files? Make the game your own as you would its worlds. Fine-tune your preferred version of the game and add in your own updates that you wish got added all that time ago. If Mojang made Minecraft's golden age, then you make its next age. Make a different interpretation of the source material that both you and the developers were given. And I think that encapsulates the spirit of Minecraft perfectly. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing or liking the video, or even just engaging in conversation about this topic with some of your friends. Maybe try and connect with people you haven't played Minecraft with in years. Maybe try to play an old version of the game with them. There's still a lot of memories to be made with versions of Minecraft that have kind of been forgotten, and I cannot wait to see where the community takes all of this next.